Okay.
Yes, man.
Yeah, well, we'll just do it here then.
Yeah, this is thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize.
Don't worry. Hopefully my voice will stay in tune and they'll hear that. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I want to hear more about this yearbook that you found Derek in. That sounds like
Well, yeah, I left a birthday greeting on his page and I noticed Oak Ridge High School, and that's where I was from. And so I found the first one, 1973, when I was in graduating grade 9, and I found him. He was graduating grade 13 that year.
Small worlds, eh?
Yeah.
That's wild, absolutely wild. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get out of that high school. I'll tell you, I found it so stifling. I ran out the door as soon as I was done and never looked back.
Never went back. Did you, were you in the school show at all?
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah, the pajama game. Maybe that was the only one I ended up being in.
You didn't do anything in the show that year. Okay. Like
No.
there are some people in your grade that I know / remember, like Mike Favell.
Oh yeah.
Because his younger brother, Terry, he was in my grade. He's still a friend of mine.
Wow.
I still see him. And I saw Mike and the oldest brother, Steve, not that long ago at their dad's memorial.
Oh my God.
Passed at 103.
Wow.
Who else was in that year? I'd have to go look at the book. But there are others in that. Joel Goldberg.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The youngest, Brian Goldberg, was in my year, and the middle brother, Mark, I knew him, and then the sister, Adele.
Wild. Blast from the past.
Yeah, those ghosts from the past, they don't let you go.
No, that's wild. And I mean, Mike Favell, I went right through public school with him as well.
Did you?
Yeah. So I knew him from, I don't know, grade 2 when I moved to the public school he was at.
Wow.
So that's...
Yeah, I went to John Dearness, and that's where I met Terry.
Oh, okay, so you must have lived like right in Oak Park, very close to where I lived. What street were you on?
I was on Santa Monica Road.
Okay, catching up.
Where were you?
Lesli here.
Naomi Crescent.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, stop it.
You were around the corner.
Okay.
Totally.
Oh my God.
Okay, enough reminiscing for a minute. Hi, Lesli, welcome.
Oh. No wonder you look familiar. I probably saw you going home from school.
Hello, Lesli.
Hi. Good night.
Good morning. Good night. Is it? What time is it there? Is it morning? It's morning there.
It's 3:00. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good morning. I don't know how you do it. You're amazing. Thank you for getting up at 3 a.m. your time. Welcome.
Hey, Melissa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Okay, this is not confusing me.
Glad you're joining us.
Are you?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Are you here to listen, Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. We've had a bit of a challenging start. Poor Char has had technical issues like she's not ever had before that I've seen, but we got it all straightened out. She's amazing. I would have had 2 nervous breakdowns by now. You must have lived close to Stuart Johnson then, Jenn.
I remember Stuart Johnson. He was a bit older than I was.
Yeah. Here's Char.
Hey, I think we should get started, Derek.
All right, Karl, where'd you go? There you are.
I'm here. I really do miss you, Derek. I feel like I have to do. I'm happy you're still emceeing because I couldn't do both.
Oh, you could handle it.
Good? I don't know.
Oh,
I would have no hair left.
yeah. See what it's done to me?
Okay. Electric. Electric Mermaid. Derek Hanebury is a Port Alberni writer, a poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction who taught writing here at North Island College for many years. His new book, Something Else Altogether, is now out.
Thank you very much, Karl, and thank you everyone who's joined us here tonight. And yeah, big hand to the crowd there at Char's. I wish so badly I could be there with you guys, but this cold I've got is not something I want to pass around, so I opted for the Zoom, and I just hope you guys have a good time without me. Tell me all about it later. Anyway, it's such a special evening we've got lined up tonight, and I'm just so excited to hear what's going to be shared in terms of two main featured readers, and then three spotlight readers as well. The Gibsons crew has come in person, and Mark Wonneck has joined us as well, come over from Qualicum Beach. So it's, I think, going to be a lively after party at Char's, and but we're going to get at least to enjoy the work that they read before that happens. So before we get started, I have to say, Char, you are unbelievable to keep your cool through all that technical stuff. Let's have a big hand for Char. I thought, my God, the universe has finally sent her something she won't be able to surmount before it's time to start, but she did it. Incredible. So anyway, I'm zooming to you, and those at Char's Landing are there on the unceded territory of the Hepetcheseth and Sishat First Nations, and we're very grateful to them and their ancestors for sharing their land with us, and giving us a place to gather and be part of what's going to happen tonight, because it's going to be wonderful. So anything else I need to add before, Karl? I don't think so.
No.
No. All right. Karl, thank you for keeping me on track and
Very
being
welcome.
there.
It's a hard thing to do.
My right-hand man. I know. I'd be lost without you. Okay, so we're going to get started, and we're going to go to my old high school buddy, Jennifer Wenn, is in London, Ontario. We just realized that we actually lived just around the corner from each other many, many years ago.
Literally around the corner.
So unbelievable. And anyway, Jenn's just back from your book launch there. I got to watch some of that with Penn, and yeah, it looked really, really sweet. And are you going to read from Emergence then tonight?
I think I'll try a new one. But do go to the book is out. The launch videos are up. There's readings by Penn Kemp. A lot of you would know her and me. And there's a Q&A. There's two different videos, and they're posted, so do find them. This is a newer thing. It's a little complicated. I'll give it a whirl here. It's called Chronos Kryptos, and it's after the four tableau in a percussion quintet by that name by George Crumb, and he translated it as Time Secret. And it's an interesting piece. It's worth looking up online. There's 5 players, quintet, but they have 105 different instruments or sound producing devices. You know, there's pouring water and there's all sorts of things. It's fascinating to watch or to listen to. So there's 4 sections, and I have 4 little poems matching the 4 sections, but filtered through. As I experience the music and what it means to me in my own personal journey, that would be the best way to put it. So the first one is called Easter Dawning. Bells float over verdant silence, Promise that epiphany arises from the depths of shadow. Bells echo down the valley, dance on the streams, trill through the firs, heralds of an imminent dawn, of a cup accepted, of a cup unavoidable. Bells announce it is time, a trial is nigh, the new era is at hand. Sunrise, terrifying and glorious, is here. The next section, the second one, is called the Ghostly Barcarolle, and that a barcarolle, a song sung by Venetian gondoliers, or a piece of music in imitation of such songs, or suggestive of the rocking motion of the boat. So, based on the music I heard there, this is mine. Paused by time's river, inexorable, seemingly, phantasmal yet tangible, immersed in the flow of returning specters, calm reflection punctuated by waves of recognition, personas remembered, kind or otherwise, blood ancestors, my own innumerable tributaries, spiritual forebears invisibly alongside, trans family, some buried alive or cut down, time itself, so much time with my truth shrouded, rolling by, unstopped and irretrievable, reborn naiads of old visions and shadows, memories newly illumined, connections freshly revealed, essences disinterred. An old song, heard in pieces, coalesces into new meaning. Third section is called Drummers of the Apocalypse, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's a real banger when you hear this section. Drums alive, drums on fire, jackhammer beat, thunder's revelation. All is transformed. You will be remade. You will be renewed. Drums alive, drums on fire. An apocalypse is close, but one that ends the long night. Drums alive, drums on fire, jackhammer beat, thunder's revelation. The crucible is here. An apocalypse is close that will conquer the living death. What was hidden will live. What was hidden will find the light. And the last one, I have shortened the title a bit. He's got some extra stuff that doesn't make sense for me, but this is part of it. Look Homeward, Angel. That's the core of his title, and that's my title. One crossing complete, feel gentle grounding of a new shore, while a dual search unfolds. Liberated, wayfaring, maiden spirit, searching for soul's true abode. Cast aside the endless wilds of exile. Listen for familiar birdsong. Look for familiar trees still rooting deep. And then music. Bits and snatches lead onward, grow and fuse. The melody sings, and suddenly you are found. Faithful former avatar seeks rest. Labors now set aside. Mourn a passing. Celebrate the race run. Venerate simple survival. Find him a home. It's there. Not lost, but peaceful. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Jenn. That was awesome. Awesome as always. Yeah, I can see the new book is forming already.
Oh, you betcha.
That's fabulous. Beautiful stuff. And, I had kind of a vision when you were reading those. I could see you doing like short videos where you had, bits of the music playing in the background and then your poem coming in and then fading down and going into the next section. It could be really cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. One could do that. And I got a hold of George Crumb because about 2 months before he passed a few years ago, he showed up completely inexplicably in a dream.
Wow.
Offering me a gift. And I maybe had barely heard about him 40 years prior in a music appreciation course that I took up at university or audited, but I never listened to him, didn't know anything about him. I swear I hadn't read anything about him in 40 years plus. But there it was, and I thought, okay, I got to do something.
Yes, good you followed up on it.
This is one of them.
Yeah, and here's maybe the gift he's given you. This is music to inspire you to take off with the language. That's beautiful.
Thanks, Derek.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenn. As always, much appreciated. And we're going to go back live at the Char's Landing now. And Robbie Van is going to share some of her work with us. and keep the audience there enthralled as there she is, as will she with us out here in Zoomland. Good evening, Robbie.
Hi, Derek. How you doing?
I'm doing well, not as good as you because you're there and I'm here, but otherwise I'm doing all right. How are you?
Get some chicken soup in you.
Yeah, I'm working on some lentil stew.
I wrote a little bit more of my Edgeworld book that I'm writing. Edgeworld, the Carrion Papers. It's around COVID when everything was shut down and I was living at Dunbar, and how crazy the people were down there and how fearful we felt at the time. So Edgeworld shimmers as the sacred trees whisper, "We are few and our magic is fading." In the afterglow, the last of a smudge smolders in the tray. When the pull comes and the calling, the back aches and my balance is off. It's almost a flu. But the healing bowl helps open up the chakra, and I fall into I still feel blocked. There seems to be something that threatens. Maybe it's the moon's pull, but now it's passing. There's a tangle of souls around the edge of Edgetown, seething in a soft nuance. They swarm the stricken ones, tending, healing, feeding. If one was of a mind, it was a whisper of madness. Where the words come from, into my lips, poured from my mind unaided, and then the pen slithers across the page with no interference from me, as I watch again, as my hand, and then a whisper, and bumps along. You are just a temporal person on a stranded planet, and still in the grips of barbarians. And on the edge of the sword, between dark and light, we cut ourselves to pieces too much if we jump across. But whether we fall to one side or the other, it's the dark that whispers and taunts us and lures us into the flame, while the light reflects the image of the Christ on his or her own quest to find the Creator's love, reflected also in our own eyes. I too am often in the in-between. The likeness seems to shimmer. It seems sometimes I'm the instrument of a fickle God who is no longer has much to do and doesn't have enough time to bother with a struggling oracle like myself. Ah, yes, they beheaded the messages in the old stories. Good tidings and a loving God is not what the current people want. They want a wrathful God. So it's best to be hidden from the eyes of the monsters and mobsters, cuddling at the edge of madness, and certainly next to a dance spirit. My time here is limited, never dragging by, but in a rush the years seem to flush by and my aging body withers further. It won't hold what I have inside for much longer. This person that keeps spreading poison and dissension amongst the masses, dividing and conquering. It's about gender, it's about color, it's about religious homelessness. Pick a choice. It's all part of the chaos that's being encouraged by these sick humans in the last few. And the magic still shimmers. Yet here in the city, the noise pollution cuts through my meditative state like a buzzsaw of a weed whacker or somebody's rubber tires going by. I have witnessed the betweeners struggling to exist in an environment where there's no magic. It sucks the very essence of wonder out of our lives. And the change calls, and with it comes the glow of recognition as I see another beautiful light in front of me, a homeless woman. But she too is transgender, and there in the darkness is life. And by a peace of God, There by that hand go I. I hand her trade goods, 3 large bags. A hug. She hands me a thank you gift. We go our separate ways. I'm changed by the exchange. I gave, and I have been changed by love. That is a wondrous encounter, and the Christ child is reflected in your light. I hear the whistler, a traveler of the western wilds, with a backpack and a grin, who sees the sun shine, so does she. And the darkness shifts around her as she shares her light with the story of love, and the story of her essence is a mother to all. We are wonder-bound, for when we hear the breeze whisper through the ancient groves and have felt the spirit of this land, this is worth preserving, for magic is translated here. Beneath your feet, the fungal brain connects us to our realm, to life itself. Surely the breath of our Creator is in the smallest to the largest of things. There is magic everywhere, and the God matter itself breathes. Everything's alive. To feel, to see, to experience. This knowing has changed me. Bright flame, gift of God, and left to find my own way. My very name indicates a traveler, since it's from the lake. I'm from the lowlands of Holland, and as a traveler, I'm looking for an experience of transcendence, an aha moment, when beauty surrounds me if I close my eyes to the real, and then an ambulance screams by in the stillness.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rob. You love the contrast there and that line about the tangle of souls on the edge of Edgetown. That's sweet. All right. We are going to have our first featured reader of the night tonight. So Margaret MacPherson is going to join us here up at the mic, live at Char's there. And we're so glad that Margaret could make the trip to come and be here in person. Hello, Margaret.
Hello, everybody. You're gonna intro or?
Yeah, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna just share your words to introduce you, and because I think it's more thorough than what I would have done off the top of my head, and so I appreciate you sharing that stuff with me. So Margaret's born across the water in Powell River and raised in the Northwest Territories, and she's always been a writer, an observer, and a reader, and I think those three often are going together when it comes to people who write. Margaret first published general nonfiction in 1999 and has traditionally published a steady stream of work since. Novels, short fiction, memoir, even biography. So her book, Nellie McClung, Voice for the Voiceless, won the Exporting Alberta Award in 2004 and gave her the courage to try to publish more personal work, as it does take courage to put yourself out there, for sure. A collection of short stories, Perilous Departures, and 2 novels, Released and Body Trade, followed, all winning provincial nominations or book prizes. And in 2022, Margaret published her Reconciliation Project and personal memoir, Tracking the Caribou Queen, Memoir of a Settler Girlhood. And that book won gold for the best nonfiction trade paperback in Western Canada by the Independent Publishers Award. And was nominated for the Alberta Publishing Association Best Nonfiction Book of the Year. So in 2024, Tilting Towards Joy, her second collection of fiction, which I think we're going to get to hear from tonight, yay! And 9th book was published, and it's from this work that she'll read. So obviously, widely published author and celebrated, and we are so grateful that you chose Char's Landing and the Electric Mermaid to come and share some of your work with us. So the stage is yours, Margaret. You've got 15 minutes, and then we'll do a little Q&A for about 10 minutes after that.
I promise I won't take 15 minutes, but I really appreciate it. And I want to give a shout out to, it's not like we chose Char's Landing, it's like they chose us. And I'm very grateful to Char, and I'm very grateful to the people who put this together. And I'm I want to give a shout out to some of the people that are here. I've got a couple of friends from Bermuda where I used to live, and a couple of friends from Vancouver where I used to live. But most importantly, to the friends out front here, because they've not only put me up for a couple of nights, but they're dear and old friends, the Walsh family, and particularly Julian, who is the youngest in the room. And I'd like to dedicate this reading to him. This is from my, Julian. This is from my ninth book, and it's really a collection of stories that I've been thinking of for a long, long time. And if you guys will bear with me, I'd like to start with a very short poem by Mary Oliver. And it has to do with the title, Tilting Towards Joy. I believe that all of us on our journey, and we certainly witnessed it in the last reader, are moving to this. I mean, it's a dark time, but we can be moving in our personal lives towards joy. And that's what my book illustrates. It illustrates flawed and imperfect human beings, as everyone in this room is, but we can move in our hearts and our spirits in the right direction towards joy. So this is a poem by the great Mary Oliver, and it's very brief. It's called Don't Hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibilities left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you noticed it in the instant that love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. So that's Mary Oliver. Don't applaud for me. That's just sort of my philosophy. I have to say, I've got old friends here from Vancouver. Their names are Ian and Kathy. And so indeed is the protagonist of this very short story I'm going to share with you. And don't worry, you guys, it's not you. This story in the collection, all the stories are linked. I'll take some questions after the reading. If you want to talk to me about anything, about my career as a writer, my personal life, anything, even my age, I don't care. I'm just really interested if people are wanting writers and want to know publication or about anything. I'm very, very happy to tell you a little bit about myself. I do have these books for sale. I'm here with my dear friend Elizabeth, who will be the final feature reader. And I'm very grateful to her for inviting me to come along on this 9-city tour through British Columbia. So this is called Notre Dame, and it takes place in Paris. The woman walking just in front of Kathy and Ian was stout, but not slow. She held the hand of a small child who looked to be 5 or 6 years old. Ian was talking about French intellectualism while Kathy watched the river, scanning the burned out tower of Notre Dame. The center spire was gone, incinerated, and she fully expected scaffolding. The post-Inferno campaign saw donations flooding in from all corners of the country, indeed the world, to restore the building. Notre Dame was more than a church. It was an important international historic monument. Kathy recalled watching television that night as it burned. The BBC was full of terrible, tragic images. There were people sitting on the banks weeping while the fire raged, Our Lady in flames. At last, finally in Paris, she would see the partially gutted church for herself. The woman with the boy stopped suddenly. Oh, today I am so lucky, thank God. And she pressed her clenched fist to her bosom and repeated again, lucky day, lucky me. The child, tangled in her legs, righted himself and nudged a cigarette butt with his foot. Kathy was curious. What is it? Her hand opened, short fingers, calloused palms, nails not quite clean. In the woman's palm was a large gold ring, a wedding band, thick and glowing. It looked like the type of band she and Ian had decided against when they chose to marry, both for the second time, settling on smaller bands, 14 carat for her and 10 carat for Ian, who said a man's ring needs to withstand physical labor. Oh dear, someone lost their wedding ring. It was Kathy's first thought, that pang of loss. Or threw it away, said Ian. She laughed then at her husband's comment, at this stranger's extraordinary luck and how the world seemed filled with goodness. They were in France, looking for a forever home. They were starting again, just the two of them. The river glinted and winked. Two birds flitted in the lower branches of a walnut tree. Even the street vendors on the Seine seemed jolly at their trade, bantering with groups of tourists and locals who drifted by, smiling, feathering through old postcards, inhaling the must of leather-bound books and volumes and old movie posters. How will we find the owner of the ring, thought Kathy, until it came to her that, of course, the stout woman must keep it. And why not? Perhaps she was a cleaning woman or a housewife. She was not dressed in the way of Parisian women with their casual elegance. This woman's cotton t-shirt was threadbare across the bosom and tummy, her polyester pants tight across dimpled rump. The ring woman was perhaps not Parisian born at all, but someone who had come here from a northern suburb, or perhaps from another country altogether, not someone on vacation. She was an immigrant, a newcomer. It was hard to say, but Kathy was very happy for her and only momentarily thought of the wearer, the traces on that empty third finger of the right hand. Steps ahead, the boy tugged backwards and Ian and Kathy caught up. I want to give you this ring for your marriage, for your happiness, the woman said. For me, it is not right. And she transferred the ring to Kathy's hand quickly, a warm golden heaviness. It was astonishing. A lost item found and then passed on as a gift. Kathy examined the ring and thought again of the man who had lost it or discarded this symbol to be faithful, to honor and cherish. So much significance held in that single shining object. But why did the woman give it to her? For you and him to be blessed, she responded as though she'd read Kathy's mind. Her jaw thrust back and forth to include Ian. That is what I want. I am not married, and I give this to you, your husband and you, for your continued happiness. I have a child, but no husband. Kathy clutched the ring and looked into the face of her dear man, her Ian, his face no longer quizzical, but now shrouded in a dark scowl. Let this one go, Kathy muttered. The woman was walking more quickly now, the boy dragging on the end of her arm like a small dog on a leash. Wait, she called after the woman. Maybe we can help. It had all happened too fast. The treasure had become a burden, a responsibility. Yet there seemed no possibility of giving the ring back to the woman who had blessed them. The little boy's feet were churning, and even with her girth, the woman scooted forward rapidly, a dark presence, parting the streams of tourists browsing at the riverside stalls. Over the bridge loomed Notre Dame Cathedral, damaged, shrouded in a tarp, a gutted monument without a heart. Was the spirit of Our Lady wandering the streets unhoused? Was this woman the homeless Madonna disguised in human form? Were she and Ian, the busy innkeepers, hustling her out to the barn? No, no, lady, no room here, move along. And what about the little boy? Who was he? Kathy offered the ring back. Surely she could sell it. But Ian said, do not. The boy here, the woman interrupted, the boy here, he wants Coca-Cola. He only wants a Coca-Cola. She offered the ring back, but the woman refused to take it. Please, she said, he is just a boy, and we have walked so far. He's the one I won't have, thought Kathy. He is the burnt out section of the church, my temple. He's this single woman's son, the one I could have had but didn't. I chose against him. I thought there would be other opportunities, but it seems I might have waited too long. It took me too long to find Ian, and now, according to doctors, fertility specialists, the whole lot of them, it was too late. She felt sickened, the revelation as real as the cheap alloy pulsating now in her hand. Kathy reached to the bottom of her handbag and pulled out an assortment of coins, 2s and €1 pieces, a few pound coins. She extended and opened her hand, and the sunlight fell upon her offerings, the golden ring and the coins sparkling like the Seine. Quickly, as though the hand might close, the woman plucked as many euros from Kathy's palm, leaving behind the foreign currency and the ring. She turned up a side street away from the river, the church, and without a word, disappeared up the street. What? Kathy was shocked. You know, said Ian, she's done that 20 times today. The ring is rubbish. You know that, don't you? I've heard of the scam. I've heard of that scam, but I've never seen it in action. You just stood there and let her take what she wanted. But the blessing, what about the blessing, Kathy asked. She bit her lip, examining the fake gold wedding band more closely. It had no goldsmith or jeweler's markings. You've been duped. I guess that's what Paris is for you. A city of scammers, said Ian. Had she been scammed? Kathy imagined the little boy's pleasure as the fizzy, soft drink slid down his throat. Even if he didn't get that treat, the woman might buy food, sausages or fruit with the few euros. I'm keeping the blessing, Kathy said. I want the blessing. And with that, she tossed the beggar's ring over the wall into the river. She watched it hover above the scaffolding of Notre Dame, suspended, luminous, before landing with a satisfying plop in the water. You choose what you choose, she thought, reaching for Ian's hand, the one with its own recently added gold band. It is all about what you choose. She pulled her husband close so their shoulders touched, and they walked hand in hand, linked by the blessing, the one he did not see, the ones that fell upon them, and the ones that didn't, even the blessings existing in a future yet to take shape. So that's Notre Dame. Thank you. All these people, Kathy and Ian, show up in different stories at different times in their lives. So it's all quite linked. Does anybody, apparently I get to talk a little bit if anybody wants to know anything. Anything about short fiction or stories or anything?
Well, I can start off if nobody's going to ask you something there because I'm curious. I just love the way you wove those elements together, and and how they evolved into symbols as time went on, and you built layer upon layer upon layer. It was wonderful, and I'm just wondering about your process and when you write like that, do you start from event? Do you start from image? Or
I start from event. I usually start from event. A lot of this work, my husband and I, when he retired, we moved to France we did a house exchange and moved to France for almost 9 months, living in a French farmhouse in the countryside. And the French family moved into our house in Edmonton. It was a really interesting time for me because I was not sure. Everything was new and heightened, when you're traveling and you're away and everything's fantastic. And this ring experience did happen where I was duped. But I started really thinking about, so in some ways, this Kathy character is me, but in other ways, she's not me at all because the characters, the events are settled upon, have their own lives. So it's a really interesting process. We meet Kathy and Ian at a dinner party earlier in the story in France. And we learn about some behaviors that happen there that have to do with infertility. And then we read this story and we start to understand their behaviors better. So often the events are real, but the characters are, I mean, it's embarrassing because there's a couple here who have the same names, but it's really not that Ian and Kathy. It's an Ian and Kathy that I invented as a couple, but the event is real. And it was sort of my ponderance on what we have, what we don't have, and what we believe. What really matters is what we choose for ourselves. So I usually start with event. The whole short story collection came about very suddenly, and I was excited. It was a solicited collection from a publisher. And so, yeah, it's 15 or 18 stories where you meet characters and then you re-meet them. And I think it's sort of a little bit about myself, because I feel like I'm in the last, certainly in the last chapter of my life, or the last act of my life. Hopefully it'll be long, but it's a lot of it is in the rear view mirror, looking back. So you'll meet a character who is maybe in the last act of their life, and then you'll discover that person as a younger person, and you'll certainly understand more about them because the events that happen to them define who they are. So it's kind of a collection where I'm finding links and connections between things, and I loved the way it linked into your poem with the Madonna and the mystery. Yeah, it was amazing.
Great. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret.
Same scam, different reaction. Yeah. It's very common. It's a very common Parisian scam, but it is how you choose to receive things, and that's sort of the message, or the. Yeah. Oh, they got 20 years. That's quite a lot. Yeah.
All right. I'd ask that if anybody live at Char's there wants to ask a question, to please come up and just use the mic at Karl's there, so we can hear it out on Zoom land and share in the basis of the conversation. Is wonderful. And of course, anybody there out in Zoom land who would like to pose a question can just unmute and jump in there as well. So please feel free to. But I really relate to what you said, Margaret, about how events drive it often, and that you hear enough events and then you see how they link together, and you know, as the observer that you are, and the writer that you are, and the reader that you are, you build up this storehouse, right, of things. And when there's enough of them working together, then of course this is how they can fit into a story and work together. It's a beautiful process.
Sometimes it's a bit of a stretch, like to try to make the connections through the collection of short stories. I have to tell you, some of these stories were written in 1988. So if you are a writer and you have old stories, hang on to them. You never know when another event will happen, and you'll realize that both events actually fit together. And the writing from possibly even 20, 30 years ago will come to mean something in another story. So if you are truly a writer and you love writing, then do hang on to what you do, because it's precious. It's a creation, and it's a creation of your thoughts at the time. And so I would encourage all writers to hang on to their new work, even if it's very raw and young. It will find a place when it's reworked and come into a different fruition, I believe. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. It's a very strange way to make a living, but I do try to make a living doing it. Not staying downstairs at Char's, which is very nice, and I'm very grateful to Char and to Karl as well for supporting independent authors, because there is a tendency for people to all read the same thing, because we're sort of being streamlined to do that. So when you read a truly Canadian book this is not set in Canada, but it's about Canadian people abroad. It's about being a foreigner in the world. It's about connections between other human beings. It's being part of the human family. And it looks at sort of the more positive parts of that. But I do think that we need to This was published by a Canadian publisher. The cover designer is a Canadian out of Winnipeg. The independent bookstores that sell it are selling literary work that isn't necessarily mainstream or bestsellers, I guess. So it's sort of avoiding the big corporate, the conglomerates, and going straight to the writers who have a vision and something to share. So I would encourage you to pick up Canadian literature. It doesn't have to be this particular book, but I would love it if it was. It's a great Christmas present, $20, and I'm happy to sign it to anybody you want me to. But I really do appreciate Port Alberni. This is our first gig out of 9 stops. It's a big tour, and we're doing it in 12 days. So what day is it today? What bed am I in? But it's a gift to share with people. Any writers who want to ask me anything about the trajectory of my career? I didn't publish till I was 40. I didn't publish till I was 40, and I'm 65 now. Anybody?
I don't have a writer question. I'm not really a writer, but I just have a comment and a congratulations. And I want to thank you for bringing the brilliant Mary Oliver into the room, and congratulate you on a brilliant segue into your piece, that reminder to hold on, to cease the joy, to grab the joy. I think it's a brilliant segue into your story, and a brilliant start to your tour. If this is an indication of what you're doing on your tour, I wish you all the best. You'll be great. It was a lovely, lovely presentation.
What a nice thing to say. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I should sit down and let somebody else share their words.
All right, and just a reminder to the people out in Zoom land that if you look in the chat, you can get Margaret's books at margaretmacpherson.ca or through signatureeditions.com. So either of those. All right. Thank you so much, Margaret. Another hearty round of applause. Okay, we're going to go out into Zoom land now, and Lesli Omohundro Bronckowsk is standing by in Deutschland at about 3:30 in the morning now. Is it, Lesli?
Yeah, 3:45.
3:45. There we go. All right, the sun will be coming up in a few hours. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's good. Well, we're excited to hear some more of your work. So hopefully you've got something you're eager to share.
Okay, this is also a story about living abroad. Although, I mean, I didn't move here for 9 months. I moved here forever. But there are still times when you just realize that, you're still learning to fit in. And this is just called Memories of the Old Lady. She was the only American living in the village. She didn't know them well, but she waved to the neighbors when she returned home from shopping. Her house was a second house from the corner, facing the empty field across the street. 2 houses down, the cornfields began. The stalks stood tall now, their silks brown and brittle, the ears heavy and ready for harvest. On late summer evenings, the farmers worked overtime, feeding the stalks into the combine even as night fell. The glow of their bright lights cut through the darkness. She liked to sit on the porch and listen to them rumbling down the road as they returned from the fields. "I'm going outside," she said to her husband. "I want to say hi to the old lady." He put his book down and looked at her. "You want me to come?" "No, I just want to say hi." She stood at the fence for a long time, looking over at the old lady's yard. In one corner, beans and tomatoes stood in neat rows. She could see her now, kneeling between the rows, still in a stained smock over the blue floral dress that she always wore. She looked small. "It's hot today," she called. "Yes, yes," the old lady said. "You want a coffee?" She liked her. She liked the way the old lady wiped her hands on her smock when she saw her. She liked the way she stood up and came to the fence and shook her hand, like 2 friends who hadn't seen each other in years. She liked her newly permed hair and her old wrinkled hands. She even liked the way she held her hand tightly now and led her through the garden gate inside to the kitchen. She offered her a chair. From the window, she looked out on the street. The neighbor across the street parked his car and went into the house. I don't want to be any trouble, she said. The old lady stared into her coffee cup without taking the sip. She watched as she opened her mouth, as if to say something. I didn't cry, you know, the old lady said, when she died. I went into the barn and sat down. They called and called, but I couldn't talk. In the evening, they found me there. She shook her head. She watched the pain spread over the old lady's face like a shadow. Each of us went somewhere else. The big brother there, the other one there. We all ended up somewhere else. She looked up at her. They threw out all of Mother's things. It wasn't right. The old lady rocked her body back and forth on the white plastic kitchen chair. Later, she unlatched the gate. The street was empty again. She watched as a cat padded across the garden and disappeared behind the shed. Her husband looked up over his book. Did you find her? He asked. She emptied the brown paper bag in her hand, a handful of green beans and 3 large red tomatoes. Does she think we're poor? He frowned. I think she just wants to give us a gift, she said. That was it.
Thank you, Leslie. Evocative as ever in that compressed flash fiction, I think I would call that. You were able to put so much in there. Beautiful. Thank you. And I hope you'll stick around and hear some more of what's coming down tonight. We've got lots about to happen. So grateful to have you here as always.
Thank you. I'll be up the rest of the night.
Perfect. All right. We'll make it worth your while. Okay. All right. I think we're going back live at Char's now for Kris Fleerackers. Am I right there, Karl? This is live and in person?
Yes.
All right. Come on up to the mic there, Kris. Welcome to the Electric Mermaid.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity to be in this illustrious company. I've already managed to forget my text at home, and Atma France has been kind enough to lend me her computer to read it off of this.
Beautiful.
Bear with me. I have to log in, and there we go. So, okay.
Go ahead. The floor is yours, Kris. I think we're hearing you fine out here in Zoomland. Everything's good. The camera is adjusted.
Derek, can you hear him? I think the microphone's a little far from his.
Oh, should I do it like this? Is that better?
Yep, that's good. That's good. I have no trouble hearing him. Anybody else out in Zoomland? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you hear him. Okay, out in Zoomland. Yes, we got the thumbs up. We're good.
All right, great.
Go for it, Kris.
So I'm going to read the 2 first scenes of a play that's a work in progress called Voilà, c'est parti, or in English, Okay, here we go. And the only thing I'm going to say about it is that all the characters in the play, except one, are characters from the tarot deck, the divinatory tarot. And the one who's not, you'll meet in scene 2. Okay, here we go. Scene 1, Fool and Dog. Hey, dog, have you found that mountain yet?
Woof! Not exactly, but I feel I can smell one not too far from here.
Great. I hope it's got a good cliff on it because I'm going to need one.
Always the same sad story. I'm tired of it. Woof!
Well, we all just do what we have to. You're the dog, so you smell. Me, I'm the fool. I jump.
Well, yeah. No dog would ever jump. Woof! And you never do either, come to think of it, luckily.
Only because you haven't found us around the right mountain yet.
I've found you plenty, but it's always the same deal. It's too big, too small, there's too many trees, not enough flowers. No offense, but you don't seem to know very well what you want, do you?
I guess you're right. Why do you think they call me the fool? I know nothing about life, nothing at all. I'm not even supposed to. All I know is
how to look for adventures, and how to love my dog. Woof! Good for me that you know that at least. Don't worry, dog. It's all going to be all right. You'll be different this time. I can feel it in my bones. I'm ready. Let's go to that mountain. Okay. This way, I think. Woof! Scene 2. Castellucci. Okay, so here we go. Me, I'm Castellucci. That's not true, by the way. That's not really my name, but whatever. You have to start somewhere, right? So Castellucci it is. The great Castellucci himself. Pleased to meet you. Or not, if you prefer. In any case, we're here, which already says a lot, in my humble opinion. You can all think whatever you like for all I care. Makes no difference to me. But you have to admit, even if things have only barely gotten underway here, personally, I'd say we're off to a pretty good start, don't you think? Already, we've been able to get the ball rolling, form an opinion. Not too bad so far. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit... I don't know what got into me today. Normally, I'm not the one you'd be seeing out here. I'm not the one to be doing the talking. Never mind, though. You'll figure out soon enough what's what. You see, me, I tend to hide. It's true. But it's also true that without me, they wouldn't even be there. They wouldn't even be here. I'm the one who made them, you know. Long ago, it doesn't take much, you know, to create a world for yourself. They were here, then came the cards, and one fine day I simply said to myself, why not bring the two together? And bingo, that was all it took. My own little theater of the world. Tyro orat rotatora. Fate revealing itself right before your very eyes. That sort of thing. Anyway, what was it I want to say it again? Yes. Let's just say that in the beginning, how shall I put it? Let's just say, well, it took forever to get them to breathe. In the beginning, there was no breath, nothing breathed, you know. There was no just nada, nothing at all. And what was worse was that I didn't even realize it. I'd never noticed that for something to be alive, it needs to breathe. It's as if I'd been sick that one day in elementary school when they talked about the respiratory system. And so they were just there. In a way, you could say that they'd always been there, but without breathing, dead, if you will. Oh, sure, I made them move. I sort of wiggled them around, but they were still just as dead. Dead like a stuffed rat, like a worm-eaten wooden spoon. Dead like a toque forgotten on a subway bench that you might use to make a child laugh, you know? The child that... Anyway, long story short, it does breathe now. It's alive now. Things move. You could say that I've almost arrived at the point where I myself don't even need to be here anymore. Almost. Where the whole kit and caboodle keeps itself going, where the circus runs all by itself without me. Although, to be honest, never mind. Enough said. No point in getting all philosophical, right? That's not what you're here for. No, you people have come to, I don't know, be entertained, relax a bit, forget about all the crap in the big world out there, allow yourselves to be fooled into thinking that maybe there's a meaning behind it all. And so here you are. Welcome. Anyway, enough of all that. Forget everything I just told you. As I said, basically, I'm not really here. I opened the curtains, I pulled the strings, I turned the cranks, that's about it. For the rest, let them figure it out. Frankly, I don't give a shit. As I mentioned, I don't even know what got into me this time. But whatever. It is what it is. So, okay. Here we go. That's it.
Thank you very much. That was interesting, Kris. And if I was watching that, and I would stay and want to see the rest for sure. That was very intriguing and very refreshing. All right, we're going to have another live reader, and I'm so used to saying going to Gibsons because it's Atma Franz, but she is here live at Char's and going to share a 10-minute Luma spotlight this evening. And so we're really grateful to you, Atma, to make the trip over to Char's and grace us with your presence. You're just back from Toronto, and winning the Kingfisher Award and all kinds of exciting stuff going on in your writing life. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and this is the highlight of the month.
All right.
So I'm going to read. Yeah.
3 cheers to Mark for being the mic guy
Yeah.
today, hey?
Yes, thank you, Mark. Kyle has been replaced.
So I've also have been working on a collection of linked stories, and I'm going to read the opening of one of them. All of the stories are also in Europe, but between the 1960s and the present time. So this one is an early story. It's called Walking Dune. Until that summer, the summer of 1969, the summer Americans would land on the moon, Veronique had always stayed with Isabel at the beach house in Den Haan, a brick cottage that stood just behind the dunes. The breeze blowing in from the North Sea picked up sand, and when Isabel played in the garden, it stung her face and bare arms like tiny needles. During storms, the dunes walked, shifting their shapes and positions. Sometimes they covered backyards, blocked the road, or swallowed bike sheds. Veronique liked playing Walking Dune, burying Isabel with beach sand, leaving only her face free. This triggered Isabel's greatest fear, being entombed alive. She would scrunch her eyes shut and lie stock still till she could no longer stand it and had to wriggle free from the cold weight constraining her. Mama, Isabel's mother, allowed the girls to roam freely as long as they stayed together. Although Veronique was 9 years older, people always thought she was Isabel's sister, as they were both tall and slender and both had brown, frizzy hair. Yet it was Mama, with her broad build and straight blonde hair, who was Veronique's sibling. She was born before the war, unlike Veronique and Isabel, who were both golden girls, untouched by the darkness that lingered over the family. With Veronique, Isabel felt free. They jumped into foaming waves, rode pedal cars around town, ate sundaes, or let kites float in the sky. In the evenings, Mama played duets with Veronique, piano and guitar. Afterwards, they all strolled on the long sea dike. When Veronique had turned 16, she went out by herself in the evenings. Isabel was not to mention this on the weekends when Papa and Grand-mère visited. On these occasions, the family ate at a large table set up in the garden. They shared stories, their faces lit by candles and by the Christmas lights Mama had strung in the trees. But that summer, the summer Isabel turned 10, they didn't holiday in Den Haan. The previous November, Isabel's father had attended a conference in Paris, and her mother had holidayed there with him. Isabel had spent a week with her best friend. Christine lived in the old part of town, where the streets were cobbled, the sidewalks crooked, and the houses stood side by side without any front yard. Christine's home was dark and very different from the wide airy villa where Isabel lived. This was the first time she had stayed overnight, and Christine led her up the steep stairway to an attic, which was almost completely filled by a large bed, its wooden headboard touching the sloping roof. "Why do you sleep in a double?" "Dad made it when I was born. If I'd had a sister, she would have shared it with me." Christine sat down on the bed and blew at her bangs. "Put your suitcase underneath it. My closet is stuffed." Isabel was afraid that it would feel strange to share a bed. It felt cozy under the soft flannel sheets, moonlight streaming in through a skylight. While Isabel was dozing, Christine took her hand. She whispered in her ear, "We're like sisters now." In the morning, they had weak coffee with lots of milk and slices of bread with margarine and runny strawberry jam. The little brothers made a mess of it, and Isabel was afraid she'd be late for school. "You girls can walk by yourself if you want," Christine's mother said. They took the shortcut through the graveyard. running on the central lane under the chestnut trees, the dry leaves crackling under their shoes. In the middle of a cemetery stood a tall column covered with names. At its base, a stone woman looked up at the sky, her face in agony, a soldier in her arms. That Monday, Isabel and Christine held hands while they ran as fast as they could. On Tuesday, they looked for chestnut under the leaves. And on Friday, Isabel tagged Christine. "You're it!" When Christine had nearly caught up, Isabel swerved between the gravestones. She knew it was forbidden to play there. The dead did not like to be disturbed. But a wild wind tugged on her hair and clothes, and she was filled with defiance. Out of breath, they stopped at a row of small tombstones near a tall hedge. The noise of cars seeped through the foliage. "These are the dead babies," Christine said. Of course, Isabel knew it wasn't only old people who died, but it was different to stand close to these small graves. Christine led Isabel to the middle of the row. "This one's my cousin." She bent over and brushed some leaves away. There was an inscription, "In loving memory," and a date. No name. "What's your cousin called?" "He doesn't have a name, silly. He died before he was born." Christine straightened herself. "He went right up to heaven and became a little angel. My mass says he's now watching over us." The church Isabel's family attended was decorated with plastered cherubs that strummed harps or blew horns, a blissful expression on their chubby faces. Were they all dead babies? A gust of wind ran along the path, tossing up leaves. A cloud had slid before the sun, and darkness settled in the hedge, deepening the spaces between the foliage into an inky blank. It felt like a shadow passed over Isabel, and for an instant her fingers tingled as if she had touched ice. She tagged Christine and sprinted away without slowing till they reached the gate. In the evening, when Papa came to pick her up, he brought presents: a silk scarf and a bottle of champagne for the parents, wind-up ducks for the boys, and for the girls, matching keychains with Eiffel Towers dangling from them. "Like sisters," Isabel said, and hugged Christine. When they arrived home, Mama was standing in the hallway, winding the phone cord around her wrist and biting her lip. "Call me if there's any news," she said. "Any news, even if it's in the middle of the night." She hung up and pressed her palms flat against the wall behind her. "Veronique has disappeared." "What?" "She didn't come home from school." Mama started sobbing. "It's not like her to take off without a word. Something bad has happened." "Did the black anorak get her?" Isabel asked. The black anorak had been in the news for several weeks, a man who attacked women at night. Some had gotten away, others had been found in the morning. "Of course not." Papa ruffled her hair. She's probably with a friend and forgot to tell Grand-mère. "Can you put Isabel to bed?" Mama flipped her address book open and started dialing. Papa took Isabel's hand and led her to her room. The bedroom felt different, not just because it was larger than Christine's snug attic. It was as if in Isabel's absence, someone had moved everything just a bit, tiny bit out of place. It was cold, too. She climbed into her bed and pulled the blankets up to her nose. The darkness pressed down on her. She shivered and remembered the chill that had fallen over her at the small grave. Veronique did not return on Monday, nor on Tuesday. At dinner, Mama hardly ate. When Isabel asked if she could go to Christine after school, her mother didn't respond. Instead, she picked at her piece with a fork. "Yvonne." Papa put his hand on her arm. Mama let out a long sigh. "I'm worried sick. I'm going to go to the university tomorrow. Maybe one of the students will know something." "What's the use? If her best friends don't know where she is, nobody else will. I can at least try. It's better than sitting around doing nothing. Veronique is of age now. It's none of her business why she left. I can't lose another sister." Little Simone had died in the war, wounded in the same bombardment that had buried Mama under the rubble. There was a black and white photograph of Simone on the dresser, a vase of fresh flowers always next to it. Papa patted Mama's hand. This is different. Veronique will show up soon enough. Mama shook him off. You don't understand. You're an only child. I lost people too, Papa said. Mama gathered the dirty plates and cutlery. Isabel picked up the half-empty bowl of croquettes and followed her into the kitchen. Why did Veronique leave? Mama turned on the hot water. I wish I knew. She reached for the pink gloves that hung over the tap like lifeless bodies. The next day, Isabel and Christine walked home together, arm in arm, happy to have another play date this soon. Your aunt has been taken by a UFO, Christine said. That's why nobody knows where she is. UFOs don't exist. Oh, really? The Americans are sending someone to the moon? So, who says the Martians haven't visited us? Isabel scoffed. If your aunt wasn't taken by a UFO, where is she then? Isabel let go of Christine's arm. Veronique is 18. She can do what she wants. My papa says so. She forgot to tell us, that's all. If only Isabel had stayed at Grandma's, like Mama had first suggested. Then Veronique could have told her everything. Instead, Isabel had shared secrets with Christine, the two of them whispering in the moonlight, like sisters.
Beautiful. Thank you, Atma. That was wonderful. And those characters are beautifully evolving. And yeah. Wow, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. That was wonderful. All right. Where are we going now? Oh, we're going to go to out to Zoomland, and Peter Paul Van Camp is wetting his whistle. Oh, there goes the tea. Good evening, Peter.
Gosh, sorry about that. I was more or less ready, but taken unawares. Anyway, nice to see you. I hope your cold isn't too terrible, and I want to make sure I'm audible as well as visible. And if so, I'd like to deliver myself well, this is a world premiere. This is fresh from the poetry kitchens of Denman Island here. Goes like this. We've all done things, such foolish things we'd undo if we could, and worse than our foolhardy deeds are all these foolish things we've said. The odd thing is that often we've been brimming jolly jubilation just before we did or said the very thing that came out foolish. For a second there, we'd even thought that we would be beloved for the next thing we would say or do. And now, a moment having passed, we're desperate to rescind this latest unredacted clinker from our wit and charm emporium. And where, I ask you, where, when it is sought for, is that easy access trapdoor every well-appointed home should have? All right, that's number one. I don't know what to call it. I suppose it should have a title. I was thinking perhaps before you put your foot in your mouth, why not stuff a sock in it? Something like that. Well, I'll work on that. But now I know Mark Wonneck is there, and I'm glad to see it. I wish I could have come too, but I had to work today. And I know Mark's going to sing. So I thought, this is why, if I'd been in your midst this evening in person, why I would have sung a song. And this is a song I would have sung. So I'll sing it here. This is well, it tells the story of something that happened, a little transference between my grandfather and I about 65 years ago. It's called A Very Important Lesson. Here we go. There's a very important lesson you must learn. It's a very important lesson you must learn. Such a very important lesson, and this class is now in session for that very important lesson you must learn. Now, I remember sitting at my grandpa's knee, sitting at my kindly grandpa's wise old knee. I was sitting, he was whittling, I was whistling instead of listening, but I think this is what my grandpa said to me. I believe he said, "Boy, when you first take off your socks and then your shoes, well, what's the very next thing you know you're supposed to do? Don't forget what you are gonna, child. If you do, you wish you wouldn't. When you take off first your socks and then your shoes." That's very true. He told me, keep your bottom dollar in your top drawer. And don't forget what that hole in your pocket's for. Fold your handkerchief in quarters, 'cause you'll need to tip the porters when they tug your swimming trunks up 7 floors. Then he told me, if you're hoping to succeed, and that's no lie. If you're hoping to succeed, and that's no lie. If you're hoping to succeed, you need to, that's right, yes sir, yes indeed. And if you're hoping to succeed, and that's no lie, here's the chorus. By and by, and it's by and by, you'll be sure to more than likely by and by. By and by and by, indisputably and indubitably by and by. Now, friends, at this point in the song, normally I would insert a 32-bar kazoo solo, but my gift to you today is that I'm going to leave it out. Now, I'm so much older than I used to be, and I think back upon that time at Grandpa's knee. You know, it might have been Great Uncle Waldo, and it could have been his elbow, and it might as well have been the gatepost instead of me. But there's a very important lesson you must learn. What's the lesson? There's a very important lesson you must learn. What's the lesson? I don't want to leave you guessing, friends. I confess I missed that lesson. That very important lesson you must learn. And it's by and by and by. Mind your elders and your betters, don't ask why. By and by, indisputably and indubitably, undeniably and reliably. Maybe next time I ought to just listen quietly. By and by. Well, that's another drink of that water.
Oh, that was charming. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you,
You're
Derek.
such a great performer. That was wonderful. And I missed the 32-bar kazoo solo. I would have listened.
Oh, well, another time, perhaps.
Another time. Okay. You'll have to come live to Char's one day and do it.
I would love to.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the lesson, sir. I think we've taken them to heart.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on, and our next performer is Mark Wonneck. Speak of the devil, as Peter did, and there he is. He's going to come up to the mic there live at Char's and share a little bit of music with us, and some of his lively lyrics to go with it, no doubt. And
Derek, apologies. The guitar microphone works in-house, but it won't be on the Zoom. Sorry.
It's going to be like Peter Paul Van Camp.
Next.
All right, a cappella. We'll take you any way we can get you, Mark.
That's where it's going to be.
Okay.
Wow, my goodness. Oh, no. I'm not good. Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
Now, do I have this on here? And that's just another thing you got to worry about here. On the Zoom, it's way simpler. I usually am on the Zoom with these folks over here, but it's just got into my head. I just come down. Oh, there we are. We're here. Let's just do this then. You can't hear this, but you can. I'm so glad, Peter Paul, that you broke the ice here on the singing part, because I was feeling kind of guilty, because this is a spoken word thing, but you broke the ice. So I got this kind of peculiar song. It's sometimes when you start writing these things, they turn out kind of peculiar. And can you hear that guitar? Okay. Yeah, it's good. Okay, good, very good. I mean, I can, but so the thing about it is, it's got a sing along chorus. And I was also very glad that Pure Paul Van Camp broke the ice on the sing along part there. It's got a sing along chorus, and I thought that might help. Its peculiarity might be suppressed a little bit if I could teach you the chorus. I know you didn't come here to a spoken word thing to sing along with a folk singer, for goodness sakes. But here we are. So I could teach it to you. And oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll just. Yeah, it's riveting guitar at this point. So I'll teach it to you. It goes like this. Automatomania from Mesopotamia, but there's verisimilitude, though it might be just proclivity or a metanormativity, that this is love and not just how do you do. So I know there's going to be one or two of you, maybe, who don't get that the first time around. Yeah, that's okay. You can just hum, until you get it. I'm sure most people will get it, and you can pick it up from them as you go here. Michael Wright was all right, and he always did well in spelling bees. He'd won everyone, son of a gun. Spelling conscientious, accommodate, and baloney. When Donna Cowan moved into town from someplace Mike had never been, he noticed from the start that she put little hearts over her eyes, and the spots where little dots should have been. Automatomania from Mesopotamia, but there's verisimilitude, though it might be just proclivity or a metanormativity, that this is love and not just how do you do. Donna could smile with her eyes and even hypnotize, and she was good at spelling too, and they shared a curiosity for ancient history. But fitting in, well, that was harder to do. In the January bee, early in round 3, they were already the last two. But then Mike forgot an I in soliloquies. Donna didn't miss it, and he fell in love that very afternoon. Automatomania from Mesopotamia, but there's verisimilitude, though it might be just proclivity or a metanormativity, that this is love and not just how do you do. Well, in love at first sight, Donna was even faster than Mike. But oh, the slings and arrows and vicissitudes. Because when love starts out, it can bounce about, making it hard for two kids to know just what to do. You can know about words and all their meanings, but to know about love, you got to take the risk. You might be dreaming. You can read a love story, but you got to write your own, because it's the only one that you can really know. Well, the months burned on until Donna Cowan finally made some kind of move. She gave Mike a dictionary instead of a confectionery, and she inscribed it the best she could do. She wrote, "Sure, I've got automatomania for Mesopotamia, but there's verisimilitude, comma, though it might be just proclivity or a metanormativity, comma. This is love and not just how do you do." Well, the language of love ain't all turtles and doves. And sometimes it doesn't translate all that well. Yeah, for some it's magic, even axiomatic. But for some it's tricky to spell. You can know about words and all their meanings, but to know about love, you gotta take the risk. You might be dreaming. You can read a love story, but you gotta write your own, because it's the only one that you can really know. Automatomania or Mesopotamia, but it seems like it surely must be true that this is love. This is love. This is love, and not just how do you do. Well, thank you for singing along. That was good.
Wonderful, Mark. Thank you. Thank you. Even without the guitar, we enjoyed the wordsmithing, my friend. That was wonderful. And I'd say that rates right up there with any spoken word I've heard in terms of its originality. Okay, we're going to have our second feature reader now, and Elizabeth Haynes is live there at Char's Landing. Come on up to the microphone, Elizabeth. Welcome, welcome to Char's Landing to Port Alberni. We're so grateful to have you here with us, and I'm just going to give a little bit of background bio there while you get settled in. So for those of you who don't know, Elizabeth is a traveler, writer, and speech language pathologist from Calgary. She grew up in Kamloops and spent many happy years vacationing at Surf Lodge on Gabriola and on Hornby Island as well. So she's no stranger to the coast here. Her short fiction collection, Speak Mandarin, Not Dialect, was an Alberta Book Award finalist, and Elizabeth's first novel, The Errant Husband, from Radiant Press, was published in 2021. And her latest book, Food for the Journey, A Life in Travel, was on the CBC list of spring nonfiction books to read. She was a 2023 writer in residence at the Calgary Public Library, and she teaches travel writing at the Alexandra Writers Centre in Calgary. So lots of good stuff behind you and lots of good stuff ahead of you, I'm sure, and we're looking forward to hearing some of it tonight. The microphone is all yours, Elizabeth.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Derek. Just as Margaret was saying, I want to thank Char, Karl, yourself, Derek, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts and the Calgary Arts Development for some funding for this trip. My friend Helen Smith in the audience, who told her friends about the event. Jackie Carmichael. Does anyone here know Jackie Carmichael?
We know Jackie well.
Jackie, yeah, a wonderful
Yes.
friend who recommended that I contact Electric Mermaid, and I'm so happy I did. What else am I going to say? Oh, that I've spent a couple of days here, and it's just a wonderful place. I love to come back, and I so love your greenery, your trails, Sprout Lake. Helen took me around, and it's a beautiful place you live. I also was here last night to listen to the fabulous Connie Caldor, and I've been a fan since the 80s, so I was so happy to see her. Yeah. Food for the Journey, people ask me, is my latest travel memoir, which is for sale. People ask me, well, how long did it take you to write this book? And I said 40 years, because I wrote my first story, nonfiction piece about my travels when I was 25. And at 40 years, that's how long it took me to write it. The first reading, sorry, I should just say a little bit about the book. So it's set in a number of different countries. Cambodia, there's a story in Cambodia, the Philippines where I worked, Armenia where I worked, South and Central America and Mexico, Cuba, the US. So there's a number of different places. I'm going to read from a story that takes place in Bolivia, which is called A Tale of Two Tents. And when I refer to Trinidad, it's the city in Bolivia. And when I refer to Loreto, it's a town in Bolivia. I know there's other places with those names.
So a tale of two tents. I just got to get the light right here. We drift toward the camp spot just as dusk is settling on the brown Abari River. Fish splash the still water. Papacho noses the boat into the bank, then jumps out to haul it in. I scan for the crocodiles I've seen all afternoon, slipping down the mud and into the water. Papacho motions me out, and we hike to a clearing on the edge of the jungle where we will spend the night. It is dark when Papacho begins setting up a tiny pup tent. Where is mine, I ask, having insisted on 2 tents when I hired him in the jungle town of Trinidad in eastern Bolivia to take me up this tributary of the Mamore River. 1 tent is better, he says. 1 tent is not better, I say. You'll be frightened, he says. I will not be frightened, I say. There are caiman, jaguar, bear, he says. My country is full of bears, I say. We haven't passed a single boat all day. We are miles from anywhere. I know nothing about this man except that his sister runs the hostel where I stayed. That exactly 1 waiter and 1 travel agent said he was a good guide. I wandered the dusty streets of Trinidad looking for other backpackers who might want to ply a river. For days, I sat in the ice cream parlor on the edge of the plaza, watching cars and motorcycles roar by and listening to sound systems trying to out La Vida Loca each other. Listening to church bells, which rang for 10 minutes, took a break for 5, and resumed on the quarter hour. I searched for tourists among the families who strolled the plaza, knots of teenagers at the heladeria, but found no one. Well, there was one other woman, a French woman I'd seen striding around town or out to Laguna Suarez in a pair of long hiking shorts, button-down shirt, wool knee socks, and a safari hat. She was heading to Guayamarine, but told me she'd met a New Zealand couple who wanted to do a river trip. They, however, eluded me. I debated with myself. You've come all this way to go on the river, just hire him. It's stupid to go on your own. Papacho seems like a nice guy. What about the German girl who was attacked by her guide in Ruanabaca? He doesn't speak English. A great opportunity to practice your Spanish. You've been traveling for 6 months and nothing bad has happened to you. What about the bus hijacking in Mexico? That was years ago, and it was because you took a night bus. Shut up, I told the voices. And over yet another dish of chocolate ice cream, I wrote down the pros and cons. The pros won. So I hired Papacho to take me down the river. The first day of our trip came, as did Papacho, 2 hours late, on a borrowed motorcycle with no gear. Desafortunadamente, his friend had borrowed the motor from his boat to go fishing. He would take me to the town of Loreto to see the old Jesuit mission instead, and we would be on the river early the next day. We bumped down dusty roads, stopping to look at jabiru storks, egrets, and herons on the pampa. An anteater ran across our path, forcing Papacho to slam on the brakes and me to crash into his back. Maybe it was me holding onto his waist tightly as other motorcycles and trucks roared by, pelting us with stones and dust, that gave him the 1 tent idea. Or maybe it was because I bought him a beer in Loreto while we ate gallina picante, hen with hot sauce, as their sisters pecked the scrubby yard. Or maybe it was just because I was a gringa, alone. The next day, motor restored, we set off. Just me, Papacho, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez in the form of a tattered copy of 100 Years of Solitude, the story of 7 generations of the Buendia family in the remote town of Macondo. and 100 years of Colombian history. I swung in the hammock Papacho had rigged for me, alternately watching the river and reading, smugly thinking it fitting that I was reading a book set in a remote jungle town while traveling through remote jungle. Would we, like Jose Arcadio Buendia, discover a Spanish galleon rooted in stone, a lushness of flowers and trees growing inside it? Jose Arcadio thought he had found a town surrounded by water on all sides. I was surrounded by water on all sides. Every so often, Papacho called Mira, and I'd look up to see the roseate fin of a bufeo, a pink dolphin, disappearing into brown, or a stork, its long legs hanging brokenly, cutting across the sky over the river. We stopped for a midday lunch of piranha and hiked to the lagoon. The air was close. Papacho cut through the undergrowth with his machete until we got to the edge of the lagoon. If a caiman attacks you, he said, dive underneath it. Absolutely. We stopped for an afternoon swim. ¿Hay cocodrilos aquí? I asked. No, Papacho said, adding that they only attack people when they're hungry. I noticed he was in and out of the tea-colored water in record time. I followed suit, retreating to my hammock where Colonel Aureliano had decided to retreat from the world to become an alchemist, to fashion tiny fish out of gold. Maybe the tent problem was just miscommunication. Papacho didn't speak English, and I found his Spanish hard to understand. And perhaps he found mine the same. Maybe I wasn't using the right words. The word for tent, tienda, also means store. The other word for tent, carpa, also means carp. I'd asked, ¿hay dos tiendas? ¿Hay dos carpas? Are there two tents? Are there two stores? Are there two fish? Or perhaps I'd said, muy necesito mi propia carpa. Sorry, let me go back to that. Or perhaps I'd said, muy necesito mi propia carpa. I really need my own carp. He'd answered, sí, claro, meaning perhaps that he'd bring his fishing rod. He'd catch me one. Or perhaps he had expectations. Did the gringa he thought he brought down this river come to it? Okay, sorry, this light is, here we go. Did the gringas he brought down this river come to his tienda in the middle of the night, like the women who silently slip into the tent of the war hero, Colonel Aureliano, to partake of his genetic bounty? Papacho disappeared over the bank. Huddling in the dark and slapping at mosquitoes, the voices in my head resumed. You can sleep in the boat. So can the crocodiles. You can take the boat. Good luck starting the motor. It takes Papacho 10 minutes. He's been nice to you so far. You don't even know him. I shiver in the dark, slap mosquitoes, put on a sweater. What the heck is Papacho doing down there? Just as I decide I'll sleep in the boat, crocodiles or no crocodiles, he appears with a flashlight and a rolled up tarp. You sure you want your own tent? He asks. Absoluto, I say. I think I'm saying absolutely, but I could also be saying pure alcohol. He smiles as if to say, you can't blame a guy for trying, unrolls the tarp and pulls out a second tent. As we shake it out, my shoulders and stomach muscles unclench, just as they did when the hitchhikers finished robbing us and left us lying on the cold ground in the middle of a Mexican field, as the stomachs of the women of Macondo did when their husbands returned from the wars. Outside this ring of light, a dolphin jumps. Crocodiles slide in and out of the water below. Something snorts. A bear? A caiman, the patron saint of careless gringas, Papacho himself, perhaps. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful story. Wow. So yeah, you have obviously done a lot of traveling in your lifetime, and I think you just really capture that. I think anyone who's traveled in a developing country has probably had those moments. Well, even in a developed country, where do I trust this person or not? Because you have to put so much faith in them. But that's wonderful and delightful the way you told it. So I'm going to open it up for questions there. If anybody on Zoom land wants to just unmute and jump in, and anybody live at Char's there, just come up and grab the mic there from Char. She's holding it up the front, and you can ask your questions there. And I'm curious, when you did travel to those places, did you do speech pathology work as well, or I mean, Armenia, maybe I don't know.
Yes, I actually did in the Philippines and Armenia. I worked as a volunteer speech language pathologist for a wonderful organization in Keso, Canadian Executive Services Organization. They changed their name, I think it's Catalyst now. And yeah, so I did work in those places. And they were wonderful. My story said in Armenia, the family just fed me and fed me. There's a lot of food in that story. There's fresh bread, there's pomegranates, there's mantu, which are dumplings. They found out I loved eggplant, so I had eggplant for every meal. They saw that I wasn't so keen on the sheep's cheese, and I heard them saying, she doesn't like the sheep cheese. I ate it politely, but it was an acquired taste. They also slaughtered a sheep in the back alley, and we had a really nice picnic. It was one of the family members' baby's baptism, so the sheep was not just for me, but I was asked if I wanted to watch. I said, I don't think so, but thanks for thinking of me.
Wow. And how was the piranha?
The piranha was very nice, a nice white fish.
Uh-huh. And so did he just caught it right there for you on the spot?
Yeah, right on the spot. Yeah, and cooked it over a fire.
Wow. Oh, amazing. What experiences. Once in a lifetime. Yeah. Beautiful. Anybody got any questions out there?
And if you're shy to go to the mic, if you just yell it, I can repeat it too.
Sure, that would work as well. Absolutely.
Sure.
Kathleen in first.
Yes, weird.
Kathleen's coming up to the mic there. Wonderful.
Okay, so there's kind of a thing. I mean, somebody recently, I heard on the CBC, where All Truth comes from, that ballet dancers, it may be that a lot of dancers are actually kind of what we used to call double jointed, that they are actually born extremely flexible. And so I was wondering, like, as a traveler and a food writer, is it possible that you were born with a stronger stomach?
Okay, I would like to think of myself as a food writer, but the food's a bit incidental. I have eaten guinea pig, quail, I've eaten little insects, fried. I can't remember what kind they were. I have eaten, what else have I eaten? Some Thai stew that had very small bones, and we thought it was either large birds or some kind of rodent. Yeah, it tasted fine. It was a nice sauce. But yes, I think my stomach maybe isn't quite as strong as when I was younger. But I am willing to try things, and I love food, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah. So as a travel writer, that just becomes another lovely adjunct into your stories in terms of the variety of foods and cuisines that you get to sample along the way, right? But the traveling is the story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, I don't write like I was going to say AMA. I don't know if you guys what do you have? BCMA, BC Motor Association, kind of articles like how to do travel articles. I'm really more interested in the people I meet, the culture. I consider myself an observer like Margaret. I like to just watch things. You know, I was younger, I did more dangerous things than I do now because I know that, yeah, they're dangerous. But yes, I think I'm willing to try stuff.
I have a question too. It's really curious question. Have you ever been given something you didn't want to eat or you couldn't eat, and how did you deal with that in the situation, like in another culture?
Yeah, very good question. I think I always try what people serve me, like the sheep cheese. I really did not like it, but luckily it was, you know, you cut off a piece and then, so I didn't take too many pieces of that. Yeah, it just had a very, very strong flavor. But mostly I would eat whatever someone served me. I can't think of anything that, you know, I hated. Maybe, no, you know, some was better than other food, but I was willing to try it. Oh, great question. Bolivia? Oh gosh, that's it. Okay.
Could we hear the question?
Oh, sorry. What was Bolivia and where am I going next? Bolivia was about 2009, I believe. I had a friend there, so I was there visiting him, but then traveling around. And then I went back in 2012. I was in Argentina for a conference, and so. But I think this one was 2009. Where I'm going next? Oh, yeah, I know, Victoria, exactly. Followed by Vancouver, Seychelles, West Kelowna, Kamloops, Chase, Nelson. We're calling it our 9-city/town/village tour because I think Chase is a village. But yeah, I haven't really got any plans. I'm actually thinking of a writing retreat in Mexico near Guadalajara. So I've inquired about that. I have been trying to speak Spanish and learning Spanish for many, many years. And I thought, you know, go somewhere where you can talk, where you can really, you know, I know the language, I can speak, and I can speak more than just how much are the beer, donde está el baño. I can say more than that. So yeah, I'd like to go to a Spanish speaking country. Yeah. Any other questions?
I've heard rumors that you can actually write off those trips, right? Especially if you're doing travel writing. So you could write off quite a large amount of money, I would think, on your income tax. Just curious, is that true? I've heard this rumor.
You know, I wish like I was working for Condé Nast or something, but Condé Nast, is that how you say it? Or National Geographic, but I really travel and then I collect points, yeah, and information, and I write. You know, I've had some of these published in literary magazines, so I've earned a little bit of money, but I imagine I might be able to, like for my next book, maybe I should get a publisher and then maybe I can write stuff off. That would be wonderful. Yes. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't see any hands. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. And again, to Char's Landing and all the organizers.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, and we're going to stay live in house there, and Vicky Dryborough is going to take the stage next and share some work with us. Always good to have Vicky share her work with its richness.
Nice to meet you. Stay close. Stay close like that. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
You can hear me? All right.
Yes.
This is a little bit different than what I usually write, so You might wonder what's going on. It's called the first flat tire. It was a brand new 75 Chevy half-ton with a 292 and 4 on the floor, Willoway green, without an inch of chrome on it. It was what you would call a farm truck. But to me, who had only driven a Volkswagen Bug, it seemed beautiful, big, and indestructible, with a huge windshield and a bench seat I could easily sleep on. The large mirrors provided a wide view of the road behind me. The transmission was smooth and all the gears worked. No skipping first to start off in second, no complicated maneuvers to put it in reverse. The bank manager agreed it was the best choice now that I would be driving alone through wild parts of Vancouver Island in all weathers, all kinds of road conditions. The only thing it didn't have was a spare tire, but the service manager said he'd phone me as soon as it came in. 2 weeks later, I loaded everything I owned into the back and left the big city for a logging camp in the middle of nowhere, where I would be the new primary teacher in a 2-room school. From the nearest town, it was 26 miles to camp over a rough and twisting logging road. I drove carefully, steering around potholes wherever possible, and putting it in second to go down the long, steep hill so I didn't overheat the brakes. I arrived at the teacherage feeling as if I had completed a challenge. Jackie Armstrong, who taught the intermediate kids, had already lived there for a year and knew the ropes. We hit it off right away. Her car was a white Ford Maverick Grabber with orange detailing and an orange leather interior. It looked as if it belonged on a racetrack. This didn't bother her at all. She drove it as if she was on a racetrack, especially when she was heading out of camp. One weekend, I returned to Victoria to get a canopy put on. The truck rode a lot smoother with the extra weight on the back. I continued to drive carefully. I didn't want to end up like the people who drove too fast. They got flat tires from driving over bolts and sharp pieces of metal, tools, anything that fell off the heavy equipment that used the road. I had stopped wondering about my spare tire. Bertie Anderson, the postmistress, had lots of advice to share. I stay off the road in the early morning and the late afternoon to avoid the crummies. Those guys are complete boneheads. They try to force you over to the edge of the road so they can pass. But I don't move over. All the stuff that falls off the trucks gets kicked to the edge, and that's where your tires pick it up. Stay away from the edge. But when the crummies came roaring up behind me, and all I saw was the grill and part of the hood in my mirror, it was difficult not to be intimidated. Sometimes they came flying around a corner on the wrong side of the road. One crummy driver was notorious for driving 80 on a 50-click corner. When his 28-passenger bus came at me sideways, tires spinning in the loose gravel as he swerved to miss me, spraying rocks and gravel against my hood and windshield, I could only grip the steering wheel and keep going. Fall and winter sped by. Jackie had 2 flat tires. Spring arrived and Bertie Anderson bought a new Toyota Cressida sedan. It was silver with cream-colored leather seats. She drove it with extreme care. 3 weeks later, Bertie got a flat on her way to town. Everybody who went into the post office heard about it, whether they wanted to or not. Another thing you should do is check the air in your spare tire. She was looking at me. Have you checked yours? I don't have a spare tire, I blurted. She reached over the counter and began wagging her finger in my face. That is pure stupidity. What will you do when you get a flat? Because you will. You can count on that. Who's going to fix it? You will have to leave your nice new truck on the side of the road while someone takes you to town. Do you have any idea what could happen to it? How will you get back from town with your tire? Take a cab? If you find one that will drive out here, you're just asking for trouble, a whole lot of trouble. By the time Jackie and I set off for town on Friday afternoon, every nerve I had was on edge, every muscle rigid with anxiety. I saw pieces of sharp metal everywhere. I was never so relieved to reach the pavement and hear my tires singing as we sped into town. 9 months you drove on that road without a spare, said Jackie as we sat in the waiting area at the tire shop. I know, I said. Somebody was looking out for me. You have a guardian angel, that's for sure. Late Sunday afternoon on my return trip, about 10 minutes out of camp, the steering started to feel sluggish. I found a safe place and pulled over. Then I got out and stared at my pitiful truck, listing helplessly in the dirt. Surrounded by the silence of the wilderness, I felt vulnerable and completely overwhelmed by the impotence of my first flat tire.
Thank you, Vicky. Guardian angel indeed. It didn't happen until then. And obviously you lived to come here and share the story. Thank goodness. All right. We're going to have another Luma spotlight now, and Kathleen Vance is waiting in the wings there at Char's Landing to give us 10 minutes of her work. And we're probably going back to the Isle of Wight, I'm guessing. We're gonna.
Hey, I'm trying to get typing on this. Can you hear me? Oh,
yes.
That was fantastic, Vicky. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the way you do those voices, and the words are just perfect for those voices.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like, crummies, because I thought all crummies were, something like a school bus kind of thing. And then I found out at McLean Mill today that they had crummy trains. Yeah, they brought them because it just is something that transports the workers, right? In the worst way possible. Okay, so I thought, first of all, just for a general theme, because I'm trying to keep this together, I realized that most of my life, I've lived in a world where the people with power and money have always tried to be creating a world without women. And in that world, I always thought just to be a woman was kind of an act of some significance, if not defiance. And now I realize we're moving forward. Like the people with money and power are trying to create a world without people. So now just all of us in a community like this together, it's also an act of defiance to that. So I thought, great. So I'm going to finish a story before I do a short thing. I'm going to finish a story that I started, too many electric mermaids, but it's about 3 kids that are on the lam on the Isle of Wight, and they met up with a girl called Jenny, who's in this sort of school to train girls to be servants, and they've met up with this fellow that Jenny kicked by mistake because she thought he was a shrub. And he says, I was just resting here in this quiet garden after my long walk. The doctor tells me to exercise and breathe in the healthy air of the downs and the undercliff. But now I need to catch my breath. The kids noticed the respirator on the ground beside the man. It was a kind of mask with thin metal plates. Oh, that's to warm the air I breathe. Isn't it beautiful here? As I wrote in a letter to my friend Friedrich Engels, this island is a little paradise. That was enough to set Josephine off on another rant. For you, maybe, but who's preparing your next meal, cleaning your clothes, maintaining your bedding, and keeping a warm fire going while you're out walking in paradise? She turned to the other kids. See what I'm talking about? Nico grabbed his mobile and pointed it at the man and then showed the others what came up on the screen. This man's Karl Marx, the very one who wrote about the plight of the industrial workers under capitalism and called for them to unite for change. What about my plight? Josephine stomped her foot. You won't be forgotten, Nico said. There are going to be lots of books, movies, and TV. Well, shows, plays about servants and big houses. Stars will fight to portray you. Josephine cheered up, but just for a minute. Yeah, but not everybody will be servants. There will still be the people they work for, that they do the cleaning, mending, and the trudging for all the things that need doing, that the important things don't have time for, are too important to do, the important people don't have time for. Those important people will still be there, won't they? Karl looked at Josephine thoughtfully. I'm getting old, I know, and now I'm beginning to realize I may have been wrong to have left out the girls and women, half the world from my theory, and not seen the work they do. For nothing, Josephine interrupted. Maddie had the last word for Josephine. All I know is that you can only change things if you stick together. Like glue, Nico added, and your work will be appreciated, first by yourselves and each other. If I were you, I'd remember that whenever you get discouraged. Suddenly, Parker, who had climbed up onto the wall walk, shouted at them, "Come quickly, the Spanish are attacking." Nico climbed to the wall walk on the other side. "The French are coming. We've got to get out of here." But only Maddie realized the true seriousness of their situation. We've got to go now, otherwise we won't be back to the hotel in time for tea. The man with the beard, full of his thoughts, trudged back to his lodging, and the runaway girl, full of resolution, half stomped and half scampered back to her school. Nico checked the timetables and figured they had just enough time to make their buses and ferry back to Southampton. The three kids' father greeted them at the door to their hotel suite. "So glad you're back on time. I have a wonderful surprise for you. I'm taking some days off. We're all taking a trip to a wonderful island. It's only a ferry ride away from here, and where there's lots for kids to do. We're even going to spend the night in a holiday cottage in a real castle. Can you imagine that? Bet you can't guess the name of the island and the castle." "Carisbrook Castle on the Isle of Wight," all three kids shouted at once. "However did you know?"
All right. Thank you, Kathleen.
Oh, so we got that one.
That's the first story I've ever heard with Karl Marx in it. I'm grateful you could include it and do the feminist critique at the same time. It was spot on.
Well, I had to do that when I found out that Karl Marx was on the Isle of Wight.
Wonderful. Wow. Thank you. You're always such a delight to listen to, Kathleen, and I am always surprised. I never know where they're going to go, and I'm just along for the ride. So you got another one to share with us?
Yeah, what we've done on the Sunshine Coast is the Sunshine Coast Writers and Editors Society has put together a festival called Art and Words. And what they did was they did a kind of draw in which they put the names of writers and names of artists and sort of matched them up. And so I got a painter called Kate Baldwin, and then I would meet with her, and I actually ended up picking a work that she had already done. Some people, the artists, did a new work, and then I wrote a piece related to it. And this, I guess if I can capture it on the screen, is her painting. I don't know if you can see that. No, very difficult. But anyway, it's there.
Just describe what's in the painting, maybe, Kathleen.
Yeah, the painting is of a dress, a woman's
Okay.
dress on a nice beach. And the painting and the story actually won, they have a 3-day festival to launch this whole thing. and launched the publication. And the painting and the story won the People's Choice Award. It was really nice.
Beautiful.
So I got a big basket of gifts from all different merchants in town, including these socks, which you cannot see on Zoom, but they are organic cotton and they feature alligators and palm trees. But no, I mean, it's perfect for me. I love them. But anyway, this is the story, and it's called The Dress. The mother I most remember now is the one I never knew, but caught a glimpse of that day in the hospital parking lot. My great aunt May was sick, and my grandmother had just sneaked me in to see her. My mother would not have approved of that. But my grandparents had been taking care of me while my parents went on a special paid vacation for top employees of my father's company. Now I stared at my mother's dress, so unlike what she wore during the week in the house, and not even like the one she wore when she dressed up for church and Sunday dinners with the grandparents. It was a mermaid dress, which left her shoulders bare and clung to her until it flared out in a large ruffle at the bottom. And it was a brilliant turquoise, the color of the sea, my mother said, the warm sea where they had been on the company trip, not like the cold gray sea I knew. But it was more than the dress I was seeing. There was something new in the way her eyes glistened, just like she told me the moonlight sparkled where she had been. She moved differently in that dress, as though she were still dancing, like she said she and my father had done every night on that holiday. My grandparents stared at her and at that dress, and I knew, the way children do, that they were displeased. I heard my grandmother whisper to my grandfather, "That dress is not appropriate, especially to see a woman who is dying." My father now stood between my mother and my grandparents. We were all caught in that moment. My mother, just getting back from their trip, with no time to change back into the mother I knew, the one who called me names and told me how stupid I was, who hit me and hugged me, made me cry, laugh, and scream. My father moving closer to his parents. I don't remember my mother ever wearing that dress again, and I was left with a lifetime of wondering what could have been if we had all let go of the controls. Oh.
Beautiful. I'll add my voice to the People's Choice Award for that. That was lovely. Thank you. All right. Okay, Karl, you got to help me out here. I see we have Joe Lunchbucket online here. Is he,
Yes.
Joe, you're going to read for us this evening? Is he next, Karl?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good evening, Joe. How are you, Bob?
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing, Bob?
Well as can be expected at 85.
Hey, no buzzards on the bedpost. It's all good. What are you going to share with us tonight, Bob?
Okay. Born in World War II zone to 5-foot parents. Yes, a bastard I could be. Unlike two bright, polite siblings, I never earned a college degree, but was blessed with 6'3" body beautiful and modesty. We escaped USSR Iron Curtain to be free. Traditional enemy Germany cured this refugee of TB, and our Jewish doctor's son's x-ray got me into Canada, the land of the free. I survived. My half Ute cousin stayed and got a doctorate degree. I survived Ontario heat and snow, where peers called me a DP. Arriving before puberty and changing schools enabled me to speak fluently, and I came to BC and pursued tree surgery. Peers labeled me least likely to succeed in marriage, but I met and wed a saint that for 30 years condoned me. We spawned one son that produced many progeny. If I lived life over again, would I be as lucky? Disabled and caned and often vocally restrained, I try to cling to sanity. Is it reality that life at 85 is stubborn vanity?
Beautiful, Bob. Man, you just get better with age. That was great. That was great. Wonderful. And yeah, fascinating parts of your childhood that I was not aware of. So appreciate you sharing that, opening up like that. That's great. Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you to Joyce for getting you online there.
Yes.
And Joyce, while I got you there, I've got a cold, so I won't be into to the timberline tomorrow. I'll give you a heads up. Okay. All right. Yeah, Karl, was there anyone else before David?
No.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go back live to Char's Landing then, and David Kipling is gonna round us out tonight with a 10-minute Luma spotlight.
That say there. He's grabbing Kathleen a glass of.
Okay.
Derek, can you just read, please? And please?
Yeah, Derek, could you read us a little something while we're waiting?
You can make it up as you go.
Yeah, right. Just like that. Eh? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll read you the first page of the story that I'm going to read next month when I'm feeling better, and I've already cut a deal with Karl so I can have 10 minutes. So let me just bring that up. And, oh, my battery's running low. Hopefully it'll hang in there long enough to let me do it.
You can do it, Derek.
Okay. It's a story called The Story Trader. It's another one of the Flo and Mary stories there from Newfoundland. So I got to tell you, Duck, I was some scared to come sit with you in this room. Had to force myself onto the elevator. But you never been in this room before, Mary. Why should you be scared? I's the one getting cut open, says Floyd. Oh, it's not this room special, sure. It's all hospital rooms. Maybe it's the smell, I says. Come over here and give me your hand, Duck. I'm here with you now. Floyd stretches his thin arm out, the green gown they gives him when we checked in. I pulls my chair up to the bed then and reaches out for Floyd's hand. That's when the whole thing comes rushing back, like a big bubble rising up from a shipwreck deep in the sea. I tries to cover the gasp with my hand, but it's too late. Calm down, Mary, we're all right now, sure, Floyd says. I knows, I says. It's just reaching for your hand reminded me of when Pops was dying and I come back from Halifax to see him. I'm not dying yet, sure. We got some time still. I knows, I'm just remembering's all. Mum left me with him. First time I's ever around someone dying, sure. Just hold his hand, dear, and I'll be back in a few hours, she says. And there I was, barely 20, all alone with the man I'd run away to Halifax to get away from. That day, all alone with the man I'd run away to Halifax to get away from. That day changed my life, sure. Run away from? You never told me that. Floyd's looking surprised, like 50-some years living together should mean he knows every little thing about me. I made a promise not to tell a soul, but maybe it's time you knew now, I says, meaning now we don't know how much or a little more time he's got. I thinks I better sit up, says Floyd, and I helps him pile the pillows behind him so's we can see eye to eye. And I'll just leave it there, and we'll come back to that next week. And David, I'm sure you're up at the microphone by now. No, it's still a bear there. He went to fetch Kathleen a drink. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he getting closer to the mic? There he is. There's the man himself.
Cards failed. I'm failed. I'm a bankrupt. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, can you hear me? 1, 2.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. I've been coming here about 6 years, and I've done every month, and I've read something out, and always it's something over there, something clever over there, something entertaining. And I got close when a couple of months ago, Mark posted something that said, "Thank you for entering the personal." I thought, but so here we go. Happy Days is the title of a Samuel Beckett play. There is Winnie, buried at first to her waist in a mound of earth, and later buried even deeper up to her neck in the same mound, which she never leaves. She has nothing but her old handbag full of things. Winnie talks to us and to her unseen, mostly unseen husband about how happy she is and has been. So far, she constantly adds, she picks among and reminisces about the oddments in her bag, which include a toothbrush, a revolver, a magnifying glass. Some indecipherable words on the toothbrush handle drive her nuts throughout the play, and why would it not? Reading that about that play could make me doubt myself and the value or even the truth of what I'm writing now. Does Beckett's play warn me that human life, mine, is meaningless? Or does he invite me to nod in acknowledgement that Winnie is justified in hoarding and who knows, even editing her memories of her happiness? Was I buried? Indeed, was Winnie really buried at all? I taught tech college students for 37 years. Here I am with you speaking of my happy days. Those big rooms back then were lit by industrial steel-framed windows, plenty of air and light, as though we were in a good-hearted factory. Its undecorated walls did not distract. There we are, if you fancy, at work, learning so that one day, out there in other workplaces, outdoors and indoors and underground, we can advance and build and know and make and enjoy the making. I walked in with my stuff, like Winnie. I used to breathe in. Once or twice, I actually threw my head back and breathed in deeply and said, "You smell good. This is a good room. Nothing bad will happen to you while you're in here." Or you can say, "This is Beckett behind the scenery, rubbing his dry hands together at my silly antic." I taught for those 37 years, give or take. It's a nice number, 37, adults and young adults. And I thought they were marvelous then and still do now, those students, brave and adventurous, even when they did not know it or denied it or fought against it and against me. They were going to do so much. How generous they were, and courageous too, to spend their days in my classrooms. There was stuff to be discovered and to be handled and kept, but still, how generous. Yes, they'd paid good money to be there, and they were rushed and oppressed and out of breath, and they'd better get something good out of it or else. Every day I unwrapped the miracles in their presence. Wasn't it wonderful? Wasn't it wonderful? Look, I probably said those words or something like it, but that was my feeling every day. Noel, Noel, tidings of great joy. What tidings? See, have a go. Look, it works. It works like this. Or you can say that's phooey. Beckett warns us of delusions in everything he wrote in his agony. Tell me what you did before you came here to this college, where you were, what happened. Listen, everyone, listen. They'd signed on for 2 years hard labor, and mostly they had a job in mind at the end of it. So what was the deal, they demanded to know. When Germany's greatest soccer coach used to be pestered with questions about past and future games, he replied, "Der Ball ist rund, das Spiel dauert 90 Minuten. Alles andere ist nur Theorie." The ball is round, the game lasts 90 minutes. Everything else, theory. I confessed to those students that their courses were unavoidable, not elective, not a smorgasbord, and that BCIT dealt stubbornly in grades, marks, numbers. That's the only way it works. It's the only fuel that works for this engine. When you guys are hired, they acknowledge it's the only currency BCIT uses, the only way it seems to work. But they also know it's fallible. They know that you can score 90% and be a pain in the ass, a jerk, a goof, a no-good troublemaker. They know that you have sweated to make your 55% average and be the best goddamn timber cruiser hired in BC this year. But the number grades are what we use. I didn't preach, though all my teaching was soaked in my morality, my ethics, and my humanity. Or you can say that was phooey. Beckett whispering that morality is a four-syllable word, a mere that dies quickly in the air. I stepped in between an unrelenting fire hose of textbooks and experts and those students, demystifying, illustrating, giving examples, telling parables that contained the subject matter. Matter, because it matters. I promised, I swore that what I taught would be useful, valuable, something to be proud of and to hold on to. I said that, implied that, because it was true. To my disgust, some instructors, a very few, believed no such thing, taught what they felt to be dead, inert. They were not proud of or even uplifted by their teaching, but instead felt somehow diminished by even doing it, by sharing a room with diploma students. That I never forgave and still don't forgive. Before I had become unexpectedly, and to my surprise, and only on a shrewd colleague's encouragement, a teacher, I had been a librarian in village outposts, bookmobiles, and city libraries and colleges. Some librarians are gatekeepers, cautious guardians. I was an enthusiastic shopkeeper with specials every wonderful day. Everything free for everyone. Come on in. Marvelous fruit and veg, fabulous fabrics. Come and see, feel this. Have you seen this? Heard of this? Did you know? Isn't it great? Come on. One of my teaching colleagues, a friend, died. His brain, cancer in the brain. While he was yet teaching, his office door, one whole office wall, was glass. From his desk, he'd look up and wave an arm. Come on in. Hi, Dave, come on in. Open door. Whoever you are, come on in. That was me when I was a librarian. All these wonderful things. Aren't we lucky? I bet I know what you'd like. I'm retired. I don't go to work anymore. Before and in between, I've worked on farms and in offices and in factories and on railroads, in people's homes and in restaurants. There had been crap in my working day, of course, but every day turned up some treasure, skill, knowledge, and companionship. Companionship, there were others. They were not like me, but they were doing their best, or the best they felt like doing, which is close. I'm retired. What do? Of course, I tell stories. I announce the drag races. I've been doing so for 25 years, and there I tell stories. Here I tell stories. In Gibsons, I read, I sit and look at views, landscapes, and trembling green leaves enthrall me. I'm in love with language, written and spoken. I remember perfectly sentences and phrases spoken to me or overheard 50, 60 years ago. I fondle the words. I'm doing it right now. I am as urgently and deeply in love with language as Samuel Beckett was. Everything he wrote was truth, a truth. In Beckett's happy days, we fear that Winnie's hopes may be frail or false delusions. Each alarm clock bell wakes her to a new but unchanged day. Each time she wakes or slips into sleep, she tells us it will be or was a good day. So far, she says, so far. Can you say better than that? And that is a truth too. If Beckett's writing does not lift our heart, he is at least compassionate. Winnie calls to her often buried, often sleeping husband, to know that in theory you hear me, even though in fact you don't. That is all I need. Everything I write is a truth, or you can say that's phooey. Up to you.
David, please don't run away, man. Please come back to the microphone. That, well, that was you must have been a brilliant teacher, just a brilliant teacher. And I'm sure, and Kathleen as well, both of you, I think, would have been incredible teachers. And anybody who got in your classroom would have been very lucky, very lucky indeed. And that was brilliant. That was really brilliant. And I think you need to do more personal. Yes. Thank you, Mark, for giving him the nudge and sending him off in that direction, because that was really outstanding. And yeah, and it reminded me of Beckett, because Beckett always has that undercurrent of humor, and in no matter how grim what he's saying is, but the passion in your writing is palpable. That was wonderful. Well, that was quite an evening, everyone. And just Karl, we've got everybody right. I'm not overlooking anybody.
No, that's all.
Okay, and remind me who our feature reader is going to be next month.
It's Gail Anderson. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name.
Staggerts, yeah. Okay, good. That will be a treat indeed too. She wrote that wonderful book, The Cure for Death by Lightning, that some of you might be familiar with, among others. But anyway, I'm sure she's going to be delightful to have too. But for now, I want to just say a big heartfelt thank you to our two featured readers. And what they shared with us tonight was beautiful. Margaret and Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming and being with us. And of course, thank you to our three Luma spotlights, to Atma and to Kathleen and David for sharing longer bits with us that only serve to further whet our appetites for more. And thank you, of course, to all our open micers as well for your courage, your beautiful diversity in what you write and share, and how little bits of everything that we heard tonight will go with us. We never we think, oh, people just hear it and that's it. They never think of it again. But I don't know about you guys, but I have bits of those stories and poems coming back to me in the days after. It's kind of ringing around in the back, and yeah, and it's always, of course, nice to go on YouTube and watch when Char posts it and be refreshed and maybe pick up those little bits that you missed on the first time through. So huge thank you to Char, as always. This was, I know, a very stressful one for you, and you handled it like a pro, as always. Thank you, Char. Yeah, just sweat off a duck. Yeah, no problem. And thank you again to Karl for cutting me a deal and for looking after us, moderating tonight. Thank you, Karl, lining everybody up and all the readers, doing such a great job of it. And I know Sheila's not there tonight, but I'm sure whoever stepped into her shoes, big shoes they are, did a wonderful job of keeping everybody fed and watered there at Char. So big hand for her.
Bartender? Okay, Jennifer.
Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. And as I said before, I dearly wish I was going to be there at the after party at Char's, but I'm going to let you guys stay healthy at least. And I hope you have a great time and chatting and sharing some more stories with each other. I look forward to seeing everybody again in a month's time. And until then, keep on writing, keep on inspiring each other and reading and being your beautiful selves out there, and take good care. Safe travels to those who are traveling.
Derek, don't go away.
Okay.
Derek, I did bring a book for you today. Now you're not here, so I'm hoping if I leave it with Char that you can stop by and pick it up when you are better.
All right. I hear she's trustworthy, and you can leave it with her. So sure, I will message her before I come when I'm hale and hearty again. That's sweet of you. Thank you so much. So that was the anthology that you read from?
Yeah, and we all appreciate your kind words and wise words, and he's just brilliant. I mean, I think, talk about a teacher, because it teaches creative writing, and it's just brilliantly welcoming. I mean, everybody who's ever introduced, hold that thought.
Thank you.
Welcoming. So anybody I've ever introduced to Electric Mermaid has wanted to come back because it just felt like, oh, this is a community and it's led by somebody who really cares. So
Wow.
thank you very much, Derek.
No, you're most welcome, Kathleen. Thank you. And it goes exactly the other way too, and that I feel the sense of community coming from all the writers that come here, and so that's what keeps me coming back and inspired too. So grateful for that. Anyway, thank you so much. Take care, everyone, and have a good party. Have a glass of wine for me. I wish I was there raising it with you.
I was going to say, Jennifer and Derek, you should get together and write a book from your time that you might have seen each other.
Yeah.
Stories like
well, yeah. And, we don't have conscious memories of crossing paths, but I'm sure we did. I mean, we probably
You look
walked.
familiar. When I
Yeah,
see that old picture from 73, I think, okay, that face looks familiar to me.
You need to send me a picture of what you looked like in grade 9, because
good
then
God.
I might be able to say the same thing. But I was the guy who was always hanging out between the doors there, going out to the student parking lot, smoking cigarettes and looking to make sure that the vice principal wasn't coming to catch us.
Oh, well.
That's probably where you walked by me.
Maybe.
Sitting on the heaters in there. No, that's wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Really, really good to see you all.
Good to see you. Night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Good night, Leslie.
Good night.
Well, I won't say sweet dreams. You're probably staying up, going to work now.
No, today's my free day.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect timing. Awesome.
Yes, I get to go back to bed and sleep like until 9.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Enjoy. Sweet dreams.
Good night. Yeah.
Good night. And good night to you, Bob. Thank you again for joining us as always. Wonderful to hear your voice and see you still perking along there.
Thank you.
Keep on perking. Good night, Char. All right, take care. I'll be in touch in a few days and come pick up the book. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, Joe. We're going to switch off now. Take care. Bye.
Well, no, they're going to turn it off.